High Court of Kenya through for purely procedural grounds. Chair will be asking you to ask yourself the question, because the governor again has raised this issue in paragraph 3 of our affidavit, in paragraph 11, in paragraph 12 and 15. She tells you all these problems are because she's a woman. You know.
So introduce yourself fully, and then you proceed.
Much obliged, Honorable Chair, and apologies. My name is Elias Mutuma, one of the counsels representing the governor in these proceedings. Members, learned counsel has used a lot of strong terms to describe the governor of Meru. Counsel has painted a picture of a crisis that is in Meru. He's called it an unmitigated disaster, a crisis, and gone ahead to equate the governor of Meru with Adolf Hitler. We will be demonstrating that that is a creation by the MCAs, and that indeed the people of Meru do not perceive any crisis. They do not see any threat to them, that this is a contest between the executive of the Meru County and the legislature. Honorable members, we stand before you today to represent the governor, who was elected by a majority votes. The closest contestant garnered less than 100,000 votes next to the governor. Surely that means that the governor was voted in overwhelmingly. Honorable members, this is a second impeachment motion. The first one was stopped by the High Court in Meru, and that conservatory orders were issued preventing the county assembly from in any way debating the impeachment motion, but in defiance of the court orders, they proceeded to do that. A question has been asked as to why the governor did not appear to defend herself before the county assembly. It is for the very reason that indeed the High Court of Meru had barred the county assembly from debating the impeachment motion. Our client risked being in contempt of court had she participated in those proceedings. So that should be able to answer the question as to why the governor never appeared before the county assembly of Meru. But that is not all, honorable members. That is not all, honorable members. Impeachment proceedings, and the High Court, the Supreme Court, and the Court of Appeal has given this guidance that they are quasi-judicial in nature, that the county assembly ceases to be a legislative house and assumes the role of an arbiter to investigate and establish whether indeed facts that have been tabled before it are correct or not. We will have evidence before this house showing that indeed the entire house was not impartial. Before the proceedings, they all donned in uniform, chanted war cries, and promised to impeach the governor even before the move of the motion had been given a chance to debate the motion. Our simple argument to that extent is that the House was not impartial, and that had been demonstrated even before the impeachment was properly placed before the House. The governor is here to answer to the impeachment motion approved by the County Assembly of Meru and to demonstrate her innocence and give a side of the story. Her Excellency, the governor of Meru, has been a victim of the danger of one story and outright false narrative. Her successes, her leadership, her amiable character, and her passion to uplift the lives of people of Meru have been hashed for political expediency. Today we have a chance to demonstrate that Her Excellency, the governor, is a true hero of devolution, a person who should be celebrated for standing against capture of Meru County by the County Assembly. At the end of this hearing, honorable members, we demonstrate how the County Assembly of Meru failed to understand their mandate under Article 181 and Section 33 of the County Government Act, and used the impeachment as a political weapon as opposed to an oversight tool. Because impeachment, honorable members, should not be a political weapon. It is only provided for as an oversight tool. That is not what happened. On behalf of the governor, honorable members, we will show you that the purported public participation was a sham. Indeed, the members of public have not approved the proceedings before you. It is the County Assembly of Meru and the mover of this motion that usurped the role of the public and purported to give views on behalf of the public. That will come out clear during these proceedings. Honorable members, just to take you a little bit back, before August 2022, Her Excellency the Governor was serving the people of Meru as their women representative. During that time, she understood the real needs of the people, leading to an expression of desire to serve them as their governor. The people of Meru trusted her and gave her a chance to serve as their first woman governor, elected on an independent ticket. And this is important, honorable members, because Meru traditionally has been a political region. So for them to elect a woman governor and on an independent ticket, then that should mean something. Unfortunately, the governor faces impeachment, just like the first woman member of parliament in Meru, Honorable Rita Karemi. And this is a woman who was hounded out of office on trumped-up charges. We are back at it again, and we urge the Senate to look at the issues before it and find that indeed the governor has committed no wrong. We know that there has been much debate about the gender question, but the real issues affecting women leadership and the governor's unique challenge as an easy target for blackmail and subjective application of the law, being an independent candidate, should not be swept under the carpet. We are also aware that the County Assembly has listed a woman-nominated member to appear before this committee today with a view of discounting the argument on challenges faced by women leaders, which evidence we will ask the committee to treat with much suspicion and look at the facts of this case to grant the governor equal protection before the law like any other person. We wish to categorically state that the governor has never sought to be excused for any wrongdoing just because she's a woman. All she's asking is to be subjected to an independent and impartial process, but not to be subjected to an impeachment on the basis of political reasons moved by a member of County Assembly, Dennis Kiogora, who, and we show this evidence, is quoted saying, or rather inviting the governor to prove that she's a woman enough. It is on that context that we are bringing the gender issue, not asking her to be excused on the basis of gender. Honorable members, the governor has been a victim of many falsehoods, contrary to the false narrative of public disapproval created in the impeachment motion and spread strategically in the public domain through the media. The people of Meru have expressed their overwhelming support for our leadership, and in reflection of their resolve and approval for her leadership, they have not been deterred by a parochial culture or party politics and elected her into office, having observed her work as their women representative and having believed in her passion for a happy Meru, a quest she has expressed in her personal philanthropic work that she has done together with her husband over the years. Her husband did not just come to the public domain upon her election as governor. Notably, honorable members and chair, during the August 2022 general election, other leaders were elected, mainly on party positions, but she was elected as an independent candidate in demonstration of the people's approval for her personal and individual leadership, regardless of political party support. Contrary to the false narrative presented in the impeachment motion, her leadership as a person has been tested and approved without any support of a political party and facing opposition from the veteran politicians in Meru. Her election is a clear demonstration that she is a leader who has appealed to the people owing to her personal character and leadership ideas. Her passion to uplift the people of Meru is not new and this has been a mantra even before she ventured into politics. She has helped many people in Meru in her charity work, and this has won hearts and approval to elect her to bring changes in service as their governor. Honorable members, you will see from the evidence on record that the governor is very passionate about what she believes in and sometimes emotional about it. Honorable members, it is not a crime to be emotional. It is not a crime to be passionate about what you believe in. In some instances, the governor seeks to give instant solutions to the problem she faces when she meets members of the community. But then, even after making those political statements, she retracts and seeks advice and is guided and does things according to the law. She has not at any point violated the law, leave alone grossly so. Honorable members, let us understand the governor as who she is and give her an opportunity to serve the people of Meru. We understand that we are barely 4 months after the general election of August 2022, and the new national government has already faced this self-same challenge of not meeting their political promises, and as envisioned during the political rallies, since the law has to be followed in implementation as per the advice of technical experts. We also wish to point out that the governors are also political leaders and wear two hats, one political and the other technical. In politics, political statements often made to give hope to the people, and such pronouncements may not capture the nitty-gritty of what should be done, but a leader has to give hope to the people upon encounter with problems. In governance, the governors often retreat to consult with technical advisors to ensure execution is done within the law, to meet objective and vision in any political pronouncement. Honorable members, a politician cannot be prosecuted and accused of gross misconduct or gross violation of the Constitution for political statements with no evidence or execution that violates the law. So when we'll be going through these proceedings, honorable members, you will come across so many political statements made by the governor. But was there any act that proceeded to violate the law based on those political statements? The answer is in the negative. The governor's passion for the people has also led her to engage the people at grassroots areas, constantly to fill all the needs in every ward, a move that has been misinterpreted by the MCAs as overshadowing their presence in their areas. However, she has compromised this style upon a request of MCAs in a mediation meeting she undertook with the chairperson of the Council of Governors with a view of giving chance to dialogue with the MCAs. Since she was elected into office, the governor has struck a collaborative style of leadership. Contrary to what has been said in the impeachment motion, the governor has indeed embraced a collaborative style of leadership, working with all stakeholders and leaders in the county, contrary to the false narrative run in the impeachment motion that she works in isolation. She has made tremendous efforts, humanly possible, to engage the elected leaders in Meru County, but they have turned down our requests time and again. She has regard of all elected leaders.
Turned out to be what? They have turned out to be what?
They have turned down her request.
Oh, okay.
Yes. She has regard for all elected leaders, and the evidence to be presented will demonstrate this. In bringing the leaders of Meru to work together, the governor has sought a consultative forum from the MCAs, which has been snubbed. She has also followed up on the request of MCAs, including a demand that her husband ceases to attend official public functions. If you note, honorable members, the spouse of the governor has not made any public appearance from 26th October. That was based on a demand by MCAs, and the governor went out of her way to ensure that indeed she has cautioned her husband to stay out of the limelight, if indeed that was the problem with the MCAs. The members of the County Assembly have, however, been impatient and uncooperative in many ways, mainly putting demands that extend to an overreach of their mandate and a desire to usurp the functions of the governor. The MCAs have constantly, openly said that the governor must listen to their demands before they can do their work in the County Assembly. It is in the law that she should make a maiden address in the County Assembly. You will realize that one of the charges, honorable members, is that the governor tried to force her way into the County Assembly. The maiden address by the governor is a statutory requirement, and indeed, the Speaker of the County Assembly of Meru gazetted that day when the governor was supposed to appear before them and address them on that issue. The governor, in that invitation and pursuant to that gazette notice, appeared before the County Assembly, and to her shock, the County Assembly doors were locked. However, she was still ushered in later by the Speaker of the National Assembly. The Speaker of the National Assembly ushered her into the podium to deliver her maiden speech, which she did, but the moment she rose to do that, members of the County Assembly walked out on her. How can they accuse her of then making a forceful entry into an assembly when that very day was gazetted and an invitation sent to her? There was no gazettement of that day. There was no cancellation of the invitation. Yet the members of the assembly will come now and tell you that indeed the governor forcibly entered into the County Assembly. Honorable Chair and the honorable members, the governor has been a primary target and a recipient of the gory and ugly actions that she has been accused of perpetrating on other leaders of our beloved county of Meru. There is no single evidence from any of the elected leaders in Meru, be it the senator, be it the cabinet secretary, that has come out to claim that they have been disrespected by the governor. There is no single affidavit produced in support of that allegation, and therefore we are inclined to say that indeed this is a creation by the MCA. Other leaders in the Meru County are in good working relations with the governor. Indeed, honorable members and chair, you will find a letter by the governor herself inviting all elected leaders, including MPs, senators, MCAs, for a consultative meeting at the official residence of the governor. None of the leaders appeared. If indeed the governor was not keen in working with other leaders, why would she officially invite them to a consultative meeting? Why would they snub that meeting? Who has the problem? Is it the governor or the MCAs? Honorable members, we are happy that the law grants the governor this chance to demonstrate her innocence before you after being victimized in a political process of impeachment conducted by the County Assembly of Meru. As we answer to the impeachment motion in the course of this hearing, we shall be able to demonstrate, one, that the impeachment motion introduced, debated, and passed in the County Assembly of Meru was unjustified, and the sole motivation was the personal interests of few at the expense of service delivery of the people of Meru. The impeachment motion, debated, passed by the County Assembly of Meru, did not meet the threshold on the grounds for removal as envisaged under Article 181 and Section 33 of the County Government Act. The mover of the motion did not provide any evidence, just like before this tribunal, of any value in support of the motion, apart from very sentimental quotations and assertions. The purported public participation in support of the motion for impeachment was a sham, a creation and imagination of the mover of the motion without any public approval in affront to the Constitution. We shall demonstrate how low the County Assembly went in desperation to tick the box of public participation. Citizens who supported the governor and desired the motion defeated were beaten, harassed, insulted, and violently chased away from the grounds when the sham public participation was being managed. Suffice to note, honorable members, that the public participation exercise was being spearheaded by the very MCAs who are the accusers in this motion. Mr. Chairman and honorable members, the governor has been accused of failing to work with other leaders in the county assembly. At the end of the hearing, we will demonstrate that the allegations against the governor in the impeachment motion have not been substantiated as required in law. You'll get a chance to peruse the documentary affidavits and evidence that we have tendered. You'll hear the governor's witnesses and the team of advocates that will be able to demonstrate this fact. In conclusion, you discover that the following evidence to be presented is watertight. One is that this is a case of impeachment being used to coerce to settle political scores. The MCAs were forced, threatened, and coerced to vote in favor of the motion to an extent that 2 members were de-whipped from their committees. We shall demonstrate why the nominated members had everything to lose by not supporting the motion. The governor is a victim of blackmail and an easy target by the county assembly for being independent against a united minority and majority sides of the county assembly. The main issue that triggered the filing of this impeachment motion is the demand, and we say the demand for ward fund by MCAs, and all other allegations are peripheral to that allegation. We have evidence to that effect. The impeachment is not approved by the voters of Meru County, contrary to the impression created by the shambolic public participation exercise. The question that begs an answer is whether this motion is supporting the will of the people or against the will of the people of Meru. We submit that this is a case of abuse of power, where, again, MCAs are using impeachment as a weapon as opposed to a tool for oversight. The allegations cited in the impeachment motion cannot form a threshold for impeachment and are full of outright falsehood and political statements taken out of context with no evidence of violation of the law. At the end of this hearing, we urge the Senate to find that the allegations cited for impeachment have not been substantiated as required under Article 181 and Section 33 of the County Governments Act. The process did not comply with the law, and the same cannot be sustained by the Senate. Honorable members, I respectively beg to sit down unless you have any questions for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You have kept time, and just like we did in the other case, maybe, yes, Esther, somebody has something to say?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I have a question for him. From your opening remarks, you already indicated this was a partisan process. What would you associate the witch hunt with? And given the accusation that came a short while after elections, what would you attribute these to? Do you think it's misunderstanding due to team dynamics? I would be looking forward to listen to what you have to say about that. Thank you, Chair.
Senator Ali Roba.
Thank you very much, Chair. Mine is to request the council. He made, the statement that MCAs spearheaded the public participation exercise. Strictly legally speaking, in your view and in accordance with the law, who was supposed to spearhead public participation?
For Migori, Senator Okech.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Council, for an excellent introduction or opening remarks. Highly appreciated. 2 quick comments. Chair, the Council has indicated that this impeachment is at the backdrop of a court order, and I just wanted to seek whether the council is in congruence with the understanding of this committee that the determination of the constitutional petition number E024 of 2022 was on the basis of the first motion that the Assembly had, and the hearing you're having now is on the basis of the second motion, which has got nothing to do with constitutional petition number E024. That's the first comment. The second comment, quickly, Chair. The Council, very strong statement, Article 179 of the Constitution, specifically Section 4 of that article, sub-article 4, I mean, which establishes the governor, and I think is the only officer elected under law who is subject to be an executive voted for. And with regards to that as well, read it together with the County Governments Act, section number 30, which establishes the functions and responsibility of the governor. May you guide this committee whether those political statements are not in respect with those two provisions of law. Article 179 of the Constitution, sub-article 4, and section 30 of the Counties Government Act of 2012. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Okech. Senator for Nairobi.
Thank you, Chair. Perhaps to help my brother Eddie. Council, you have made reference to a court order at the inception of some of these proceedings. We want to know the second impeachment motion, which is the basis of these proceedings. Was there a case filed? Was there any order barring the Assembly from proceeding with that second impeachment? Number two, is it your position that you cannot, in fact, violate the law by pronouncement? Is that the position that you want to give us, that you can, in fact, not violate the law by a mere pronouncement?
Perez.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, the Council has said that sometimes the utterances of the governor are emotional and passionate, but later retreats to seek legal and technical advice. Chair, I don't know whether the the Council can clarify whether the governor understands that it should be the other way around. I'm not giving an opinion, but I think he needs to clarify that.
Thank you.
Whether that's the ideal situation.
Tangwa.
Thank you very much, Chair. My question is only one to the Council, and it revolves around the Ward Development Fund. Because the Council has said that all this started because the governor has refused to give the MCAs the Ward Development Fund. So I wanted to understand at which point did the governor refuse or is purported to refuse? Because I do understand for an assembly is a legislation body, so they're supposed to come up with this law, pass it for the governor to assent. So did they go to that stage of passing this law, then the governor refuses to assent to this law? That's all.
Thank you. That is all. Yes, that is all. Council, we will give you time to respond to these issues. But members, I was thinking, we remind ourselves the matter raised by Senator Okech and supported by Senator Sifuna on the matters of the High Court orders that were delivered in respect of the first impeachment motion. That matter, Mutuma and company advocates, they wrote to the Speaker of the Senate. And from what we are hearing, they have not challenged our jurisdiction. So since they are not challenging our jurisdiction, we shouldn't go there. You don't have to really burden yourself with that. If it was an issue, you would have challenged the jurisdiction of this sitting. It means they respect this sitting. That's why they're here. Let us discharge. Finally, in our program, we were supposed to receive evidence from the county assembly at this point between 12:40 and 1 o'clock. But if you look on the clock, it is 1:17. So I wanted to request members to manage time. We give 5 minutes to both sides. They address the issues we have raised. Then we adjourn for lunch. And when we come back, we now hear evidence. Would that be okay, members? Thank you. So, County Assembly, issues raised.
Chair, questions were asked as to what I meant by unintended consequences, and whether by that I meant my preference of who should have been governor or the preference of the MCAs as to who should have been governor. The answer to that question is, when the people of Meru went to vote, they did not vote the governor to be fighting other leaders. They did not vote their governor to be usurping the statutory functions of the County Public Service Board. So that is what I meant by unintended consequences. In fact, Chapter 6 is loath to such a governor or any other leader who engages in such behavior. So it must be then an unintended consequence. Then I was asked, would a discharge of the governor be analogous to appeasement policy that European leaders and their American counterparts had against the warmonger in Germany? And I think I answered that question and said, this House has all the rights. There's an unqualified right to make whatever decision it wants after hearing the evidence on both sides. No one can be hard to fault the Senate because they decided the matter one way or the other. At any rate, the Senate must decide it one way or the other anyway. I was asked, how do we compare the people who voted for the governor vis-a-vis those who voted for our accusers, the MCAs, and the people who have all these complaints? Our answer is as follows. Number one, the governor was not the only leader elected in Meru. The people of Meru equally elected the MCAs, who she's at war with without good cause. The people of Meru elected their senator, with whom she is at war with. The people of Meru cast votes they were not sufficient to return the cabinet secretary, who she is at war with. The people of Meru voted the MP for Tigani East, and indeed all the 9 MPs. Therefore, it cannot be taken that the Honorable Kawira Mwangaza is the only person who was voted in Meru, or that somehow there is something special about the votes she garnered. The entitles are therefore to have these false accusation and vilification campaigns, which we hope will persuade you when we get there. What I meant by the issue of where do we place the people, we have already placed before you, and we'll get there, the public participation results. And they tell you, while as the people of Meru may have a certain opinion as at 9th August when they cast their vote, supervening events, specifically the events mentioned in the impeachment motion, have tilted that will of the public or the voters of Meru, and we'll get there when the evidence starts flowing. Questions were asked whether we'll be impeaching the governor so shortly after an election. And the answer, Chair, is we will be creating a very dangerous precedent to say it is too soon, because what you will be establishing is a precedent that tells any other governor that you can engage in whatever misconduct you fancy. You can go breaching the law in all 4 directions of the campus, because it is too early anyway, nothing will happen to you, and we will have declared that Chapter 6 of our Constitution stands suspended. The first few months, first few weeks, or whatever days after the election. There was a question about the first past the post. It is true that our electoral system is first past the post. But that is the more reason why anyone accused of these heinous crimes should be very careful before roping in the people and saying the will of the people. Because although my colleague told you she beat the next candidate by more than 100,000 votes, it's in the public domain. The votes were as follows. Kawira got 209,148. The Honorable Linturi got 183,859. The Honorable Kireitu Murungi got 110,814. The will of the people, Mr. Chair, must be taken as including these people who also voted for Linturi and Kireitu, who when combined anyway are more than the people who voted for the governor. And merely because the system is fast past the post does not mean the will of all those other people who are actually more counts for nothing, and therefore the MCAs they elected should be insulted every day, should be vilified every day, and all other things that we've placed before you. There was a question about, I think my colleague said about public participation. When you get there, Chair, we have our volume 4, and it will show you 2,734 persons signed 300 written memoranda in support of the impeachment motion. It will show you only 30 persons, 30, sent memorandum in favor of the governor, and because we love full and frank disclosure, we have attached even those memoranda that were sent in favor of the governor, the 30 of them. More than 1,080 persons made oral representations, and out of those 1,080, it is only 260. All these can be confirmed by your Secretariat Chair from our volume, who expressed oral views against the impeachment motion. And that is what we meant, whether it is really true for the governor now to wear the cloak of the people. It is the easiest thing to do. Perhaps I would do it if I were in her shoes. But the fact that I would do it also if I were in her shoes doesn't necessarily mean it is valid. I think the role of the Senate is to interrogate it and ask itself whether really that is a valid response. And in any event, Chair, even if we were to assume for argument's sake that the Honorable Governor was elected with a 100% majority, would that be a valid answer to the accusations against her? just checking, Chair, whether there is a question I may not have responded to. But I believe they have responded. There are questions, Chair, that the mover, I think this is the last one I have not commented on, that the mover of the motion has said an axe to grind with the governor, dating back to even the electoral period. We do not know, and we'll leave it to you to decide whether that is true. But we have to remind you, the matter before you is a decision endorsed by the County Assembly of Meru, and that there are safeguards in law to ensure that impeachment is not intended to serve personal cause. One of those safeguards, Chair, is the mover has to get at least 2/3 of the members of the Assembly to append their signature before he can even present the motion to the clerk. The second safeguard is that in addition to signing on that motion, the MCAs have to verify their signatures with the clerk so that they are not hard to say, I was drunk, or someone brought me a document to sign and I didn't know. In addition to signing the motion, they have to sign a verification signature. The matter has to be prosecuted before the Assembly with the governor given a chance, that safeguard. And at the Assembly, the mover of the motion must secure a minimum of 2/3 of the MCAs before the matter can be escalated to the Senate, and if he fails to do that, it heads. Before this Senate, Mr. Chair, the Assembly, the mover of the motion, must still get a majority of the delegations to succeed. So it doesn't matter anyway, given all these safeguards, and there are many others. For me, it is a diversionary tactic. Again, perhaps if I were in the governor's shoes, I would say exactly that. The fact that I would say it does not necessarily mean it is correct or that it should be believed. I hope I've addressed all the questions, Chair.
Yes, indeed, but just in case you've left something out, we will still allow you to refer to it as we go along. We want you to exhaust your opportunity completely. Governor?
Thank you, Chair and members, for the questions. I'll address two, then my learned friend, Mr. Mwangi, will address the rest. One is a question on whether there has been any law passed, and this comes from the Senator of Kiambu, that directed the governor to utilize, or rather to disperse the ward fund, and the governor refused to assent to that act. There has been no such act by the County Assembly. What is there currently is that we have an approval of the ward fund by the previous government of 10 million per ward, which the governor has already dispersed to the 45, in fact 46 wards within Meru. But what the MCAs were doing is to demand an extra, because there was some disbursement which was not clear from the previous governments of 20 million, 25 million, and you see that from record from the previous governments. So they wanted the governor to continue with that trend, and the governor said, I'll only do that within what the law provides. And to that extent, the governor sought an advisory from the Controller of Budget. The MCA sent a delegation to that effect, and they were accordingly advised on how to utilize such funds. So it is not true that the governor has refused to assent to any law that the MCAs have passed. Secondly, on the issue of public participation, we submit that public participation should be objective. It cannot be subjective. And that's why you cannot be the investigator, the accuser, and the judge at the same time. So if the MCAs have appended their signature on the impeachment motion, then it defeats logic for them again to preside over the public participation exercise, where they choose who speaks and what even goes into the content of those proceedings. So it's only fair that maybe the office of the clerk or any other body should preside over public participation. Otherwise, there would be no unfairness if the very person who is accusing you is the very person who is collecting views, compiling reports, then purporting to say this is what the public are saying. And we'll be able to demonstrate that indeed, most of the people that were against the impeachment were either bad, they were beaten up, and were not allowed to give their views. My learned friend, Mr. Mwangi, will take you through the rest.
I'll address the question. The question, what is the position of the governor's political comments in view of Articles 179 and Sections 30 of the County Government Act, in light of the governor being the chief executive officer of the county? My learned friend, Mr. Mutuma, in his opening address, mentioned clearly that the governor has two caps. He has the policy and the technical cap when it comes to execution of his functions. The process of election of a governor is a political process. Like a political leader in this country, he's still a political leader. What the governor has to do is to balance between being a politician and being a manager. And Section 30, subsection 2, clearly stipulates what is the function of the governor and which appeals to the political side of a governor, the charisma of a governor, the organizational, community organizational skills of a governor. It appeals to the leadership skills of the governor. One of them, the governor is required to promote the competitiveness of his county. His county must shine, and can only shine through her charisma and how she speaks often about her county. She must promote democracy within the county, and that's an edict of the law. So the fact that the governor is the chief executive officer of the county does not in itself mean she cannot make a political statement. Honorable Chairman and honorable members, many occasions the governor is invited by communities and she's told, we have an issue, we need to have a conversation. She goes to the ground and questions are raised impromptu. At the spur of the moment, the governor will have to make a statement. What Mr. Mutuma indicated is a calling for the governor to inspire hope where there is hopelessness, and also to give a word that we hold the community. And Honorable Chairman and Honorable Committee, we are going to demonstrate many occasions of this nature, and some of them have been blown out of proportion, but we are going to show how the governor dealt with those situations. She's been termed passionate and emotional, but she's not been unable to manage her emotions and her passion, but she has used her passion to be a better manager and a better politician and a speaker for her county. We are going to demonstrate this with evidence. I think that's all on the issues, unless there is an issue we have inadvertently forgotten to address.
You're welcome. Yeah, anything
Chair.
you forgot? Yes, Vice Chair.
Thank you. I just want to seek clarification from the Council of the Governor. You said that the governor has already dispersed the 10 million to 45 wards. Might you be knowing if the it was directly through the MCS, and if they've already used this money in development so that they can demand for more?
Yeah, the Council for Governors, there's a question here you are dodging. You asked, public participation. Who drives? The one which you are executing as the governor. And then finally,
You responded,
Yeah.
but you circumnavigated. What I asked was a question of legality. Who is supposed to carry out public participation, legally speaking, on any matter that is being executed by the county assembly. Does the law give provision contrary to what the assemblies have done in terms of executing public participation, legally speaking?
And then Esther?
Thank you, Chair. My further clarification is to the council representing the county assembly. I heard you say that not a single politician has complained in writing about being disrespected by the governor. Okay, this is not to the one representing the county assembly, the one to the governor. Are you confirming that the allegations are hearsay? And the second concern, and now this is to the council representing the county assembly of Meru, did Meru MCAs have instructions to represent the leaders who are mentioned adversely by the governor as presented? If not, how do you want this committee to treat such evidence? Thank you, Chair.
Yes, members, just a little bit of guidance. You are raising very important issues. These were the opening statements. Evidence will come. Then we are going to pursue the evidence one after another one when it is not too clear. So maybe we could hold our horses at this stage. We wait for evidence.
Chair, just quick
Yes, but something is banning the governor of Migori.
The senator.
The senator.
Yeah, I think that, Chair, it's very critical that the council did say that the political statements that the governor is overly accused for, and I think they form base of the charges, and to the extent that some of them touch even in article or on Article 73 of the Constitution. The question I was asking, and council, if you may listen to this carefully, the reason why I invoked Article 179, Sub-Article 4, and Section 30 of the County Governments Act is what the council opening statement implied was that we shouldn't hold the governor accountable on the basis of political statements. And that is, and if that is going to be the base of the conversation that will come, even in the evidence that we get as we go through this proceeding, that's what I was asking. That are you suggesting that the political statements are not subject to any accountability metrics under those two provisions of law that are quoted? That's all I wanted to know. That's what you intended to imply.
Chair.
So, we had
Chair.
guided, yes?
Chair.
You have something, Bunny?
Yeah, Chair, I needed to know whether we are still retaining our question hour, that we still have it later on. All right, but just one more. For the council representing the county assembly, are they holding brief for the senator and the CS so that it goes on record? And if they have records to the effect that the governor is fighting the senator, the CS, are they here representing the people they have mentioned?
Yes, that's why I was saying, senators, these are opening remarks. When the evidence comes in, probably they'll come with an affidavit sworn by the Minister for Agriculture and sworn by the Senator that those things are true. If they will not, then it makes their case weak. So let's wait for that particular time. I want to request that we rise for 1 hour, and when we come back, members, you still have a full 1 hour to interrogate both parties. Thank you very much. We shall resume at 2:40. And lunch is served by Senate in the holding rooms where you are. I don't know which one was the holding room for the media.
the committee is now taking yet another break for the lunch break. And this is after yet another session where both parties, that is the council for the county assembly and the governor's side, presented their positions on this particular impeachment. Of course, the both parties each defending its accusations. For instance, the party that represents the county assembly presenting, defending its accusations that has been brought before this particular committee, and the council representing the governor, of course, defending their side as well. So this is the end of this particular sitting for this morning session. It began at around 10 a.m. Now it's about 1:43. They're taking a break, but then they'll be back in the afternoon as directed by the chair, that is Kakamega Senator Honorable Boni Halwali has directed that the sitting will resume at around 2:40. So we will take this particular break and we will be back at around 2:40.